Welcome to Mayor at Your Service. Tonight we have a panel and we're going to be discussing what the town and some local organizations have done to help businesses during the pandemic. And first I'd like to introduce three people on our panel tonight. First we have Jim Brooke, and Jim is the chair of the Town Business Liaison Commission. We have NATALIE MONKOU, and she is zooming in with us this evening, and she is our economic development manager, and she works at the town of Vienna. And we have Jeff Bollettino, and he is president of the Vienna Business Association. So welcome tonight. We're going to have a conversation. First, just wanted to talk to Jim and Jeff. They are also business owners in town. And Jim owns Brooke Rental. Jeff owns, with his wife, School of Rock. And so how has the pandemic affected your business? Have you changed the way you're doing business? Is it better, worse? Jim?
Overall, it's been very negative. To begin with, we were really scared. The PPP loan has helped us quite a bit to begin with, to get through it. For the first few months, we didn't have much business to speak of at all. But because of the fact that people want to be outdoors now, we've been able to rent a lot of tents. So the tent business has been very good. And it started out with facilities for screening and testing people. We did a lot of that stuff. And then it's been restaurants, renting tents for outside seating, obviously. And then once things have opened up, more people are having outside events, very small events, but they want to be outdoors. And now, interestingly, private schools are renting tents as well,
right,
to have outside classes and that kind of thing. So
right,
that's helped a lot, but it's still not made up for our loss. So we're still down quite a bit.
And when people order tents and things, do they normally call you or do they come into the store?
Probably it's online ordering and calling. Mm-hmm. So less people are coming into the store these days.
Right.
But,
so in that respect, you weren't affected as much, just the actual customers coming in.
Right, customers coming into the store.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jeff, how about you?
Yes. We're fortunate that we do music lessons at School of Rock, and then we have group rehearsals. So when this all started, we had to suspend all the group rehearsals, obviously, but we were able to do online lessons. So we had to invest in tablets for all of our teachers and set up our own Zoom rooms and our own protocols for how to handle them, to have waiting rooms for the kids before the lesson starts and that sort of thing. But with the support of the parents, I think which is very important in this working, we were able to transition most lessons and hold on to most students, maybe at a slightly lesser revenue because they're not getting the rehearsal part of the program.
Right.
And that worked, I think, very well, mostly because we communicated a lot and worked very hard to make sure the teachers knew how to do it. And we had kind of a system-wide approach to how we would make music lessons be good and be safe online. So we're thankful for that. When we tried to do our first performance live, for example, here in Vienna, we did it in our parking lot. We had to just be sort of zealous in doing everything you could think of. So the parents stood on the other side, the library side of Center Street, to watch their kids. They stayed separated. They could only be in the vicinity when their child was actually performing. We had a big drum shield in front of the vocalists to catch any vapor. We had the kids like 20 feet apart from each other. We had very long cables to make all this work. Disposable windscreens over the microphones. As each child would perform, we'd then wipe down everything. We'd have our team come in. So try to be zealous in doing that. We're now transitioning to having people come in the building again. I don't know how much detail you want me to keep going.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a check-in protocol for when you come in the building for everyone. It's the usual things like taking their temperature, asking about symptoms from the CDC list, or if they've been around anyone who has symptoms. And then they have to go wash their hands and disinfect their instrument case in case they're bringing anything in from home, and before they can go to their lesson or a group. We've had to reconfigure our space to allow for social distancing in the lessons room, so fewer people in the lesson room or in the rehearsal room at one time. We have to wear masks while in the school and limit the total number of people in the school. And then we're putting up physical barriers. We've got these rolling closet stands with plastic sheets in them so we can configure them in different places, mostly to put in front of singers because of the spread. We have to disinfect all the gear in between sessions. We've trained our staff, sort of ad nauseum to follow the protocols and have kind of a team atmosphere about fighting COVID. So, and of course we have signs everywhere to talk about all this. So I think, the effect has been our business is down. It's not down to the degree, thankfully, that it is for a lot of businesses, just because of the nature of what we do. But it really required the support of our customers to trust us to handle this right with their kids. I can talk more about how I think we did that, but maybe that's all you want for right now.
Okay. Oh, it's very interesting. I didn't know about those roll away shields. That's interesting. I think that sounds great.
You have to figure out quickly, how can I do this without it costing a lot? Because we needed 25 of them. So it was find a cheap, rolling like hanging closet thing
and
on
storage.
casters.
You have to store them too.
Yeah, and then get the plastic shields and whatever. So good time to be in the plastics business.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. The town has been trying to react and see what the businesses need. So, of course, like a lot of other places, we have a temporary ordinance where restaurants can eat outside. And some people say, well, why can't they eat outside normally? Well, because they're taking up their parking spaces, and we do have parking requirements. So that's one thing we've done. We just extended that to March 31st for restaurants to have outdoor dining. And then we've been working really well together because, Jeff, you called me and you said there was a need that some businesses wanted daycare. And of course, all our kids in Fairfax County Public Schools are virtual learning. So how do we take care of both of those? And that's right now in Vienna, only residents can have daycare. So we have a temporary ordinance that says that businesses can have daycare. So I know they're working through the county right now. And then Jim, you were talking about tents. We also just had an emergency temporary ordinance to allow churches and schools and public, semi-public, private institutions to have outdoor activity. And so some of those things involve tents. So that kind of reminded me. So that was just another need that we heard about. And so we're just trying to respond. The town council has been great. We have emergency meetings, and everybody is just right on it and wants to do everything we can to help.
And Linda, I just want to say thank you for doing that and recognize how quickly you moved out on that, because it's very useful to the parents to have a place to send their kids that's safe, but it's also just an option for any business owner who has some extra space, who wants to maybe be in that business temporarily. It's not trivial to do, it's difficult, but the first impediment was the zoning in Vienna, and I really appreciate that you jumped right on that. You had to deal with the council supported it, we really appreciate that. The town attorney had to figure out what was going to happen with this.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't just council,
and that's not easy,
staff.
So we appreciate him and the staff
very much,
doing that.
Very much.
So really Vienna came together on that, we appreciate it.
Yeah, they work very hard in a few days to turn things around for us.
Great job.
They know it's a priority for us. So, NATALIE, the federal government and the state has some funding, and you have been working with the businesses. You've been so helpful in helping them with applications and so on. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So on all levels of government, whether that's the federal level, state level, local, county, and town level, all levels have really jumped in to support our business community during this time. And on the federal level, I think a lot of people are familiar with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, also known as the EIDL, and that allowed businesses to borrow up to $2 million in loans, and then could potentially be forgiven up to $10,000 in another loan advance. And then there was also the Paycheck Protection Program, which allowed businesses to borrow up to $10 million as well. And that was also for nonprofits, of course, our traditional commercial businesses, and even agricultural businesses were able to apply for this program. And that was on the federal level through the Small Business Administration. And then on the state level, we also had some programs. One most recently that the state or the Commonwealth has put together is called the Rebuild Virginia Grant Fund. This just came out, and it's especially for businesses that have not received any type of funding so far. So if you're a small business, I definitely would encourage you to go and check out the Rebuild Virginia Grant Fund. In addition to that, the county has stepped up. As you know, if you're in the town of Vienna, you're in Fairfax County. So you are also eligible for any programs that the county is putting together. And the county put together their first program, which was a $2.5 million micro loan program. And a few Vienna businesses I heard also got a chance to participate in that. And of course, there was also most recently a $26, then $46 million RISE grant program, which we participated in as the town. And we did contribute up to $1 million in funding for that program. It was a lottery system. So at the time that the program launched, of course, the demand and the supply are, not the same. So in order for the county to fairly and equitably serve all the businesses that applied and that were eligible, they did it through a lottery program. So for us to, again, put in at least $1 million towards the program, it was to secure that those funds would be used primarily and only for Vienna businesses. That's at a minimum. And so far, we've had a really good response in Vienna businesses participating in this program. And even tonight, I think Fairfax County Board of Supervisors is going to be voting to extend or continue to add more funding to the program. So every eligible Vienna business that applied will also now get additional funding from the RISE grant program, which is the county-led one. So there's money on different levels that are loans and grants. But of course, if none of those, I would also encourage businesses to check out their local banks to also renegotiate any financing or funding through those sources.
And that's good news about the Board of Supervisors, hopefully. And NATALIE, you have helped, because it's not always sometimes the rules, and it can be kind of confusing sometimes, and you've helped businesses, correct? And reached out to them,
yeah,
and explained.
Business that has reached out, does my loan or my application is held up here, definitely made sure that we reach out to the right people on the different levels, whether it's state or local or federal, to see how we can resolve their issue. There are so many programs also, not just withstanding in the Office of Economic Development for the town, but also other programs that are designed to help provide one-on-one support for businesses that need that assistance. Those programs and applications are not always easy, we know that. And so if there's a question and they're not sure how to answer it or to present themselves, because honestly, a lot of times it's about, especially for small businesses that may not have as many resources as a bigger business, it's about understanding how to present your best foot forward, even in a pandemic. And so making sure that their finances and operations are in a way where they can present it to whoever's reviewing their application and is able to understand it so they can help them too. So we're happy to provide all levels of support within my office, but also there's so many organizations, sister organizations in this community that are dedicated to that type of support. And I can talk about that more too.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Jeff and maybe NATALIE, if you haven't mentioned, are there other types of resources? Maybe not even monetary, just other resources that are helping businesses at this time. Jeff, do you
Go ahead, NATALIE.
Yeah,
go ahead, Jeff.
Either way.
Well, I can talk about some of the things VBA has done. You know, I guess when I think back to the start of this whole thing, initially it seemed like businesses really were going to need banners just to communicate. I know I called you about it, but I think maybe Natalie already had this underway to ease the banner restrictions. But it's just a good example of the town working well with the business community, made the whole banner thing easy.
Right.
We arranged, VBA arranged with one of our members, a printing company, McCabe's, to print low-cost or no-cost banners for businesses of a certain size. So just trying to make it easy wherever we could. We've been very active with social media to just get any information we have about COVID out to the public. That's really the work of our executive director, Peggy James, who's all over that. We created a Facebook page, Vienna Business News, for VBA, for any business in town, to post sort of what deals they had, what activities they had, status of the business, and that's been a good way to get out there. We've also been active with the foodies. Peggy has in particular, to get out information and listen to what's going on. So, I mean, there's a lot of help out there. We have a COVID resources page on the VBA website, viennabusiness.org. So there's just lots of things going on like that.
Right, right. That's excellent. That seems so long ago that all that happened. It seems like another world ago, really, doesn't it? And Natalie, did you have some things to add too?
Yeah, in terms of financial support here, and that the town has provided as well to our businesses. You mentioned the ordinances, Mayor, and I just wanted to add one point of clarification for the first emergency ordinance. It's not just for restaurants. If you're a commercial business and you are in a location where you can perform commercial outdoor activity in your parking lot, with of course your property owner support, then you are also under that emergency ordinance. So all three of those emergency ordinances have covered commercial business, traditional commercial business, including restaurants, but also other industries. And then of course, you mentioned, Mayor, already, semi-public and private institutions. So we hopefully have covered every single organization that could be in the town of Vienna, so they can conduct outdoor activities during the rest of this year and into the spring of next year as well, which we know is a really crucial time for businesses. And back to the beginning in March, when the pandemic first really took off in the United States, but also in our region, we did make some adjustments right away. Jeff has already mentioned a few of them, but we also did understand that some businesses were doing takeout and delivery. And so we did adjust some of those parking zones on Church Street. We also initiated a local brand awareness campaign. May was Business Appreciation Month. And so we launched for a week an opportunity for businesses to participate, but also for the public to safely participate in shopping local and understanding that the business community was doing all they could to step in and follow those health guidelines, but they can still support, and there's so many ways to do so. So we did introduce that brand awareness campaign as well. And then of course, there were some delays to real estate taxes. There was a waiver on penalties for delinquent meals tax, business taxes. So we have tried to adjust on all levels, on the marketing level, but also, yes, of course, your pocket, your financial level as well, and then making some policy changes to make it easier, or at least much more quicker for you to do business in the town and in the county.
Right, right. And I'm glad that you mentioned the other businesses besides the restaurants, for sure. And we'll talk later about that, because we can't forget all of them. They're definitely in need too, and we're going to discuss that a little later. But I know Natalie and I, once a month, we take our walks and we visit businesses and we see how they're doing. And I also know that VBA and TBLC, you all are talking to businesses all the time. What else are you hearing that they need at this time? Are there?
Do you want to go, or should I go?
It doesn't matter.
No, go. Why don't you go?
I can go. I guess the truth is that the TBLC hasn't been doing as much empirical research is I wish we had or could have, but what I hear on the street is that construction businesses related to construction or real estate is doing very well, interestingly, but that businesses that are more intimate, where like a nail salon or a hairstylist or any type of business that involves close interaction with other people are not doing very well. And I know specifically from my business and the people that I work with, that I do business with, that the hospitality industry is really in trouble, and especially, for example, caterers or party planners or party venues, anybody that is putting on functions, all those type of businesses are just really, really struggling. And obviously, don't even have to mention restaurants. We realize that restaurants are struggling as well.
Yeah.
So that's the impression that I get.
Right. Yeah.
For me, I mean, we haven't done anything empirical either. I just know that whenever I talk to another business owner, I ask, how are they doing, mostly compared to a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm alarmed at the number of times I hear an answer like 20 or 30% of the number. And at that number, they're looking at a potentially dire situation, depending on how financially strong they were going into this, how much more risk they want to take on. And I think that probably includes many restaurants, or some restaurants, and as Jim is saying, nail salons and other sorts of services industries. I'd just like to say here, we talked about what the government's doing and what these organizations are doing. It's really something that just citizens can do, which is to check in with those businesses that you like and maybe see what you can do. Is it time to go back? I go see a barber, they wear a mask, I wear a mask, there's a reduced number of chairs. Right. It feels very safe to me. I would think nail salons can do the same sort of thing. I think it's probably time to consider going back, or recognize that if you aren't supporting these businesses that you care about, they may not be there. They may not survive the winter. Right. They may have gotten this far by using PPP loans that they had, and they may just decide to throw in the towel. Right. So you don't want to see that when this is, we're in a better place. You want to go back and see the same stylist you like, or whatever, same restaurant you like. They don't count on them being there without you participating somehow. So see what you can do there.
Yeah. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. I wanted to talk to Jim first about TBLC, so Town Business Liaison Commission. Some people know about that. I know that because we're working under this continuity of government, some of our boards and commissions have not been able to meet. You all just had a meeting, though. And so what have you done, and important, maybe more importantly, what are you going to be doing for the Town Business Liaison Committee in the next couple months, in the near future, to help businesses?
Well, to help businesses in the near future, just around the corner, we are doing what we've done before. We're going to work with the town and with the Business Development Office and the Parks and Recreation this year on a window decorating contest, which we've had in the past. And this year's theme is Light Up Vienna. And what's one thing different about it this year is that residences will be able to participate. So not only local businesses, but residences can be part of the contest and decorate their homes. There'll be an opportunity to sign up for that. Let's see if I have my notes here. If you want to participate in this, you can email Adam Kincaid, Town of Vienna, but I'm sure just going to the Vienna website will direct you. I'm not sure we have that set up yet, but I think in the future we will. And I don't know, different highlights. The contest is going to kick off on December 1st. There's going to be I think some sort of a parade route that people can follow to go around and look at the different homes and businesses. And in the past, the Town Business Liaison Committee has judged, along with other people within the town, have judged the winners. But I think this year, I think if I understand correctly, the residences are going to judge this year, which I think is cool too. Okay. And the other thing that I just asked Linda tonight, but Linda, or the mayor, will give an hour of service to the winner of the, for the town, for the business will come and work in their business. I'll make sure that if we win, that she'll get to maybe set up a tent or something along those lines, at least deliver some chairs and tables. But or you can go to and also she'll visit the people's houses that win. There's a lot more to it, and maybe Natalie would want to follow up on what I said about that. The other thing that we're doing is this is something Natalie is really heading up, or the business development office, a shopping center activation celebration to kind of highlight different shopping centers in the town. Mm-hmm. I think it's different weeks and weekends. Natalie will explain that much better, I'm sure, but just to give promote businesses and shopping centers around town. Another thing that we have done over the years is we're going to continue, even during the pandemic, to have work with the business development office to have ribbon cuttings, because there are still businesses that are opening up, and celebrate those businesses. Yeah. And then the other thing is we're going to try to do a better job of reaching out to businesses. We're going to work with the business development office on that too, just to collect more data and find out what businesses need and what their concerns are during the pandemic. Yeah. So those are some of the things.
I love them all. Those are great, great ideas. They really are. And they're so exciting for our residents too. You know, people are looking for things to do. I mean, we're not going to concerts. We're not going to, a lot of things. So they're looking for entertainment, and what a better way to keep it in Vienna and support our businesses.
And I don't know if Natalie wants to expound on any of that. Natalie,
sure.
You want to, any of that stuff?
Yeah. Of course, I always have stuff, Jim. This is my love and passion is to help our business community, and it's great to do that with great partners like the TBLC and VBA. And what I think Jeff was mentioning with the question before, Mayor, is around data. And that's really important for government, or for anyone, before they act and are able to really address the needs of our businesses. And so earlier, when the pandemic first launched, I guess I don't know what the appropriate term is really to talk about this pandemic, but when it first arrived on our doorsteps, we essentially started to do a survey. And we did survey our business community and asked them what was going on. And at least 75% of those that answered the survey asked for support in areas like marketing and branding and navigating their grants and other funding options. That was on their minds at the time, which was in April, from April to May. And rolling up in the next few months, we plan to also survey our community again. And that will be also with the help of the TBLC, just to understand how far we've come. Every 3 or 4 months, I really need to understand what are some of those issues. Are they're still the same pain points that they were facing in the beginning? Are they recovering? Have they pivoted? Have they become creative? As a town staff, but also part of the organizations, is about pivoting to help support the businesses during this time. And one of the things that Jim pointed out was that TBLC is focusing on a window decorating contest and also partnering with town staff, Parks and Rec, our division, to focus on how to support businesses. And it's not just about window decor, which I know that people want to get back into that holiday spirit and kind of think about ways to initiate a lot of our new safety guidelines in a new normal. You know, we still want to have fun. We still want to support and celebrate all these different areas of our lives, and we can still do that, but safely. And so that's really part of it, is marketing our businesses. That's a huge thing, marketing and branding, and bringing awareness to who is who in the business community. So the window decorating contest is one piece of that, but it's a part of a puzzle of how do we bring in visitors, but do it safely during this time to actually invest in our business community. And you can also bring in support through the residents as well. So as many people as possible, not just residents, but those who might be looking for, you know, holiday shopping, whether they can do that online or not. Maybe it's safely picking it up, contactless, you know, pickup for these different businesses that are participating. So it's layered approach, and I hope that's what people are. Understanding, that it's layered, and that it's all to include fun, but to do so safely.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And Jeff, you've mentioned some things, of course, that the VBA has done. What about the future? What about in the next few months? You guys have anything on your radar that you're working on?
Well, yeah, I did mention most of it. I would just say that you know, we have discounted our membership to make it easier for members to join, and kind of extended the payments to be a member. And we've actually grown our membership during this period, which we're very proud of. I think it's a testament to the value we've been adding. We're trying to get back now a little bit more to our normal monthly meeting format. It felt like for the first 6 months of this, business owners were just up to their eyeballs in things to do, and it was exhausting, and we didn't think there would be value in having a monthly get-together. But things have now kind of reached a steady state condition. So we just had our monthly meeting and had NATALIE speak, and it was a great meeting, and there were lots of questions. I think over the next several months, we'll just continue to do what we've been doing, getting the word out, listening to our members for what do they need from us, what do they need from the town, and advocating on their behalf, and just doing whatever we can think of to make it better.
Oh, okay, excellent. And Natalie, did you have anything to add, like ways that you're working with VBA or TBLC, or did you kind of cover that already? Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I'll just emphasize that doing a new survey to understand where our businesses are in this moment and move in the next few months to a year. As Dr. Fauci, he's one of our nation's leading health experts during the health crisis, has said that the health crisis is going to continue into 2021. So we are anticipating that that's going to be the case. And so preparedness, being able to pivot, we want to help our business community do that, but we also really need to hear from you and understand what your needs are. We can guess, we can try to anticipate your needs, but it's very good for us to understand you telling us what you need. And we'll do that through a survey. I'll be partnering with TBLC on that, which I think I mentioned earlier. Of course, the window decorating contest is a part of a larger branding awareness campaign, which Jim mentioned, the shopping center activation program, where we have selected different shopping centers in the town over a weekend to support them and to really give our energy towards marketing those stores within that shopping center. I also don't want to get caught up in the word shopping center. I understand there are shopping zones, right, in the town of Vienna, whether that's on Mill or Dominion on Church. We're going to cover it all. So I hope that over the next few months that we do get participation, not just from our businesses, but from property owners, and then of course, visitors and residents. Those are also our primary goals. And then I am working with VBA all the time, actually, on ways to communicate to our businesses about what's going on and bringing experts to make plain what may be super complicated, and also provide examples that are just better to hear from industry experts. And so we did start a series within the last few months called The Road to Recovery. It's a webinar series that we started with VBA, and we brought in some experts to help people understand the value of the PPP, the EIDL, and how to navigate that application process, on reopening when we were closed, and then looking forward to phase 2 and phase 3. Of course, teleworking, that's one area that businesses may not have understood the value of that for their businesses and their workforce. How do they pivot? What are the benefits, also financial benefits to that? So we're going to look forward to putting on other webinar series, especially as we get into the colder months and preparing for winter. All these emergency ordinances, we want you to do business, we want you to be able to do it outside if you are able to. Should you, how do you do it safely? We're going to be able to communicate to our businesses about that. So stay tuned. There's a lot more that I'm not mentioning because I want it to be solid before I bring it before the public. But all of those new programs or initiatives will definitely include TBLC and BBA in it.
Right. Oh, that's excellent. And I think highlighting the zones, we don't want to say shopping centers, you said the shopping zones will be great too, because I'm sure there's stores, there's businesses there that some people don't even know about. And so that will help advertise them. And Jeff, you touched on something already, but what can our residents do as consumers to support all of our wonderful, wonderful businesses in town? Because we want them to be there when this is all over. So what are some thoughts? We can go back to you since you had started on that conversation, and we can kind of wrap around here.
Well, I mean, just get out and use them. Go spend your money at a business and make sure you're supporting the businesses you want to see stay in business. I totally understand if you don't feel safe, but make sure you're making a kind of a critical assessment of that. Is it maybe safe to go now, or find out from that business how they're handling a certain situation. Don't assume that they don't have a solution. You might consider buying products in advance, buying services in advance, just to help that business with their cash flow. Cash is a very important consideration for any business. So it's that kind of thing. It's very situational, but just support the businesses by doing business.
That's, yep, very true. Natalie?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Jeff, for illuminating that. I would say to specify specifically to our residents or consumers, rather, of these products is that, one, to actually make out you're seeking out information about your business community, because it's one thing for them to get in front of you, which I understand, but it's another for you as the consumer to actually look for them yourself. And doing so online, I mean, hashtags, Facebook, Instagram, there's so many ways to now get in front of a business. And if you are interested in a type of service and you don't know which ones are in Vienna, a quick Google search will tell you, how to do that. And then you can find out if they are taking the steps to, do the health guidelines and making it safe for you to interact with that business. So I do think it's also consumer responsibility to do so. Thinking about how to engage businesses in your planning with your family or as an individual. So weekly grocery planning, or now we're in, the months where we had, school supplies actually, even though we're staying at home. But is there a local business that can offer this product to you? Look for them. So it takes some thinking about how do you organize your own home, right? And to think outside the box. There are so many, for example, and this is a super easy example, but if we're thinking about weekly food planning, figuring out which restaurants are able to provide you literally with meals for the week, figuring that out too. And I just think, making it a part of your everyday is one way for consumers to really support our local businesses in Vienna.
Right. Great points. And Jim, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
It's tough to add on to that. I'd say if you've been going outside and it gets getting colder and you want to eat at a local restaurant, just bundle up and keep visiting those restaurants as long as you can into the fall. And
right.
I don't really, not very good at this, but I was just thinking about it as people were talking about social media. If you want to share on Facebook with your friends, or go to Yelp or Google and say good things about businesses that businesses in town of Vienna, just to try and keep the buzz going about local businesses, they can always use that that support, I'm sure, and just encouraging your friends and everybody else to support local businesses, because it's easy to, I think, during this pandemic, just to order everything online and just use Amazon for everything you get. But if you want to have brick and mortar businesses in your community, you still have to go to those brick and mortar businesses sometimes.
Right.
Not just order everything on Amazon.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Just as you mentioned, Jim, not every business owner is great with social media. And plus, business owners right now are exhausted with what they've had to go through between the worry of making ends meet and holding on to employees and keeping employees employed, but at the same time not putting them in a dangerous situation. Likewise for their customers, they're having to reinvent processes on the fly. They're having to become experts in science that's not their field of expertise, but just understanding how the droplets work and what does that mean for their business. And a lot of them really could use your help in just helping get the word out, on social media. If you're great with social media, then help them out. They'll be very appreciative.
Yeah, that's so huge. I've seen people do that, and I've seen people post, and I've seen all the comments that come after it, and it's like, oh, that's a good place to go to get whatever. I'm not going to say it, but I think it's a great way. And that kind of leads into the last thing I really wanted to talk about, and that is, what can businesses do? What do you all think in your positions and just personally? What have you seen and what do you think? Because there are some people, and part of it is a personal preference, of course, and some of it has to do with people's health situations. So I'm certainly, sensitive to that. But what makes a business people feel more comfortable going to, in this time? So what is it that they can do to make people feel comfortable going there, that they're taking all the precautions, that it's a safe place to enter or do something on the outside or the inside of the business? What would be your thoughts? And Jim, we'll start with you since you had to go last on the last one.
I guess that's the common sense stuff. You want to keep your place clean, and you want to obviously wear a mask when the customer comes in, and keep your products looking clean and well organized, and just make sure that the customer knows that you're following the guidelines. I guess that's what I think on that. But I know, Jeff, you have other thoughts, probably thought about that.
Yeah, well, it's my wife has really been, Laura has been kind of the genius on this and understanding this. And it's particularly acute for us because people are trusting us with their children. What she has learned is, if the government says you can either do face masks or put up shields or social distancing, what you should be doing is all of them at the same time. Because there will be members of your customer base who only feel good about masks, and others who worry about not having barriers, and others who are only satisfied with social distancing. So you can't pick one. You kind of have to do everything. And then you have to communicate it liberally so that people get the message that you're taking this seriously. Because I think what is going on in the consumer's mind is, I know this business is conforming because they really have to, but how seriously are they taking it? So, for example, when we do cleaning, do it when there's a lot of people standing there. Like, just be smart about, because you're like, okay, get out of the way, I got to wipe down the counter. Again, we do this every 45 minutes or whatever we do. Make it obvious that you're taking this very seriously. I have been in some businesses where I feel like they're probably conforming, but it's not as obvious, and it probably hurts. And I feel for those people. But it's just like, you have to get this message out, communicate over and over again in all forms, social, email, and while someone's in your place, so that they see, like, okay, they're living this, and they really mean it. So.
Yeah, those are great recommendations. Natalie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I love this topic. Okay, so a few things. One is that Jeff and Jim both talked about being understanding on terms of the social distancing guidelines that the federal government and even our state has provided to businesses, doing as most of them, if not actually all of them, right, to remain open and for the customers to regain confidence in you and making it obvious. I also think that I can hear a business owner saying, I don't have all this money to print out like these visual representations of where you should stand and where you should come in and wear a mask, and being very clear about that. And my response to them is, we can do that for you. We can help you. That's free. That can be a free service. There are so many of the guidelines that have been printed on behalf of the state, on behalf of the county and its health department for you to use for your business. They're like tools that are at your fingertips, literally, and ready to go. So you do not have to create your own marketing around social distancing practices and guidelines for your business. That's there. The other one, this is really obvious, which is read the guidelines. Forward Virginia plan that the governor's office has created for all of our businesses, it details the steps you have to take. You don't have to guess. And this is taking some of that stress off of your mental space, because you have so many things to think about as well. As an industry, if you're in a specific industry, really go after the national level. There's industry groups, associations, the retail association, everything you can think about has an association. Go to their website. They have also resources just for your type of industry and business that you represent. And that also can help you really alleviate some of the stress, because you'll have people you can talk to who can speak the same language and can understand some of what you're experiencing within your industry group. And of course, they have local chapters too here in the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. region. There's so much here. We are very blessed to be in a great community, but also a region that is well educated, well run, and we can trust this information that's coming out of these industry groups. And I would also say, of course, reaching out to the members that are in organizations that you're a part of, like VBA. I mean, if you're a member of VBA and you're not dipping into your membership base, there it is. That's the value for your membership is right there. So definitely reach out to them and figure out what is going on. Not to mention TBLC is here, VBA is here, but also the town of Vienna is here to support you as well. And if there are things that you can afford as a business that we can offer to you at a free rate, right, then we're going to do it. So definitely that. And if you're not sure, for example, where to get PPP supplies or PPE supplies that can help you with like gloves, these are also physical but visual markings that you are taking it seriously, and masks. You can afford that. I mean, are things that I would love to help assist you with. Please let us know so that we can help you navigate that as well.
Yeah, thank you. So we're hearing that if anybody is watching this or knows of a business that is having trouble and has questions, to contact NATALIE, and she will help. And maybe she will say, you need to go here or there, or here's your answer. But I'm sure you've helped a lot of businesses already, and probably some continue to go back to you. And I know you're doing a great job. But we'll try and any of us hear of things, we'll send them to you. Does that sound good? Okay, so that ends our questions with each other. So is there anyone in the audience that has a question? We can start there. And then we have some people that are on Zoom, and they can ask a question also. Sure.
We can talk charity also. Charity.
Oh,
when we're done.
Go ahead. Oh, yes.
We can cover it as a question. But.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Should I talk about it while
Yeah,
we're getting
go ahead
a
and
question
talk about it.
ready?
I think we should.
Take the pressure. I just wanted to say that part of VBA's mission is to be a channel for businesses to give back to the community.
Right.
And we've been doing what we could during this time with that. We teamed with Cafe Amore on a Feeding Families 5K. People signed up. It raised over $10,000. and fed 368 families and also supported local restaurants. So that was a home run. We do things like donating beach balls to the July 4th holiday or in a box. We're going to do a similar thing for the Halloween parade. And I want to say that if you have been to Oktoberfest and had a beer the last several years, you are a hero. Even though we can't have Oktoberfest this year, you, my beer drinking friends, are heroes because your dollars helped feed a lot of families and help a lot of charities, because a significant portion of those beer funds went into what's called the VBA Foundation. And during this time, we did a lot of COVID relief grants. So far, we've done $4,000 to local charities for COVID needs, and we're teeing up the next $4,000 right now. So a lot of that has gone to feeding families. Some of it has gone to other types of charities. So just everybody who participated in Oktoberfest, you did good. We're really sorry we couldn't do Oktoberfest this year for obvious reasons, but it'll be back and your charity dollars will be at work again.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, there's so much good going on in our community. That's one of the things that makes Vienna so special, just the businesses helping out, the citizens, and they're helping out the businesses, and we're all working together, and that's what we have to keep doing. Do we have anyone with questions? No questions. Okay. I think there was someone who had a question about meals tax, and that I don't have those figures with me right now, but we are down, of course, for our meals tax, and that's what pays for our infrastructure. However, we aren't as down as we thought we would be, and we do have some new businesses in town. I'm sure a lot of people know exactly the business I'm talking about. Some of them are drive-through, which makes people more comfortable to visit those, and just some other great businesses that we have. So we're really fortunate, and as Jim mentioned, we are still having ribbon cuttings. I mean, that is amazing. I know that there are places in Virginia that this is not happening. So we certainly we understand that businesses are not doing as well, but we are fortunate that this is a place where we're not doing quite as badly. And Natalie, did you have anything to add to that at all, or no?
I do think that it's interesting that during this time, we do have businesses that are opening in different categories of businesses as well. And if you're someone who is considering becoming an entrepreneur or want to pivot your business, now is actually a good time to consider it. I know that we're in a health crisis, but if you can open and do so safely, and you can also see that there is a market for your services, we talked just right now about daycare, and that's pivotal, especially as businesses, especially larger ones in this area, try to decide how to reopen safely. As you know, our next door neighbor is Tyson's. They have a large amount of commercial office space. Depending on who is owning that office space and who the companies are that are represented there, many of our town of Vienna residents, for example, work over there, or they work in large commercial office spaces, which means that they're going to need to provide for their children. This is an opportunity. So really thinking through what opportunities are needed now, but also in the long run, especially if you do it well, that you could make a profit out of it and be a successful business owner, even in times like this. Like, people are still opening up. So definitely something to consider.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank all three of you. I cannot imagine doing this and going through the pandemic without the TBLC, without VBA, without having our fantastic economic development manager in your office. You guys are all helping so much. And so, I think the bottom line is businesses. Hopefully you heard some of these comments tonight and it was helpful. And please reach out, continue reaching out to us. We all want to help out however we can. And our residents, just please do what you can to support businesses. And thanks everybody for coming and tuning in tonight.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.